Hey guys, how's it going? This is Solomon here. I am the host of the podcast Free Speech with Solomon, and I'm broadcasting live from my office in the second floor of my house. So during these times, these trying times, we're currently in a pandemic, the coronavirus pandemic, and things have gotten pretty bad, and they continue to we're still in a pandemic, and it's already May. So I'm coming to you because I am broadcasting a series. Well, it's kind of a precursor season to my podcast, because in my podcast we interview people and talk about their beliefs, but I feel that it would be good for me to broadcast as the host my beliefs, since it is a political thing and, free speech and all that kind of stuff. So I recently postulated a series of polls on Instagram that asked some political questions to my followers. If you haven't followed me yet, you can go ahead and follow me at @solojew_. I follow back. So basically the questions I asked were basically general political questions, and some of them were more specific. I'll get into those later, but for the first one I asked, it was, do you consider yourself more of a Democrat or more of a Republican? And my demographic is very liberal, I'll say that. I'm 20 years old. I am a college student. I go to UNLV, which is a very liberal college, and it's like the second most diverse college in the United States. And even more so, I'm in the honors college, which is like where all the smart kids go or whatever. I don't know what it is, but it's like where all the politically woke and blah 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 kids go. So for me, I expected my poll results to be overwhelmingly liberal. Surprisingly enough, it was about 3/4 Democrat, 1/4 Republican. I expected it to be like 85-90% Democrat and a few Republicans here and there. So I'm kind of happy that that there's more diversity in that sense. So we'll talk about my beliefs. I consider myself a Democrat. I do, but I say that very cautiously. And why do I say that? Because I feel that Democrats today in American society have gone too far to the left. I also feel that conservatives, Republicans today in American society, have gone too far to the right. And another question I postulated was if people think that American politics and society and all that is getting more polarized. And my answer to that is yes, I believe so. Because I consider myself a classical liberal. And I don't mean to be posh or anything, but I just feel that although a lot of my views align with the Democratic Party today, I don't personally perfectly align with the Democratic Party, though I guess I have more views that are considered Democratic than that are considered Republican or social, or conservative. For instance, I'll just give you a personal anecdote. I actually have a surgery scheduled for next week. I have to have this procedure. There's no way around it. The doctor said I had to go through all these testing and all this medical stuff, and it's been kind of scary recently, especially because I'm so young and because the pandemic is going on and I have to go to these clinics and these offices to get tested. And not to get tested for the virus, although I'm getting tested for the virus tomorrow because if I have it, I can't have the surgery. But I need the surgery, so it'll be at a later date. So it's kind of a fiasco in terms of medical situations with me right now. And I got a call yesterday from the hospital, and they said, "Hi, can I please speak to Solomon Feinstein?" And I said, "This is Solomon Feinstein." And they said, "Yeah, your procedure is going to cost," I'm not going to tell you how much it cost, but it's in the thousands, okay? And it's not even like a major heart procedure or whatever. And that's with insurance, right? My parents are luckily pretty middle class and we have really good insurance, and it still costs in the thousands for a relatively minor procedure that won't even land me in the hospital overnight. I can leave afterwards. So I kind of have a problem with that, to be honest with you. I do. I don't feel like healthcare is a privilege. I feel like healthcare should be a right. And there's points on the other side that say, you know what, who's going to pay for it, blah blah blah. And my thing is, though, is that I read this statistic yesterday, and over 60% of people that become bankrupt in the United States are bankrupt due to medical reasons or medical bills that they can't pay or something like that. It's insane. And I mean, like, for it to be in the thousands for me with good insurance for a relatively minor procedure, it's crazy. I can't imagine what it would be like if I didn't have insurance, or if it was a more major procedure or something like that. I have a friend, I'm not going to say her name, I'm not going to disclose anything, but she had medical bills that are in the hundreds of thousands because she unfortunately had cancer when she was younger. And that's horrendous. That's honestly horrific. And although I did say earlier that I think that liberals have gone too far to the left, that's actually probably my furthest left point, is that I feel like we should have free healthcare. Just because, I didn't really think that before I had this whole fiasco, but, sometimes it takes an experience for you to kind of understand more about a certain thing. And that is like the closest to a socialist ideal that I will support, but I do support free healthcare, and I think that should be something that we have. But when I talk about liberals and conservatives, but for this instance, let's just say liberals, in today's society going too far to the left, I mean it socially, if that makes sense. It's just, I see a lot of hypocrisies in the Democratic Party. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of hypocrisies in the Republican Party as well. But it's just, let me just give you an example. So on my college campus, UNLV, you can be as pro-Bernie, as liberal, say whatever the hell you want. You can criticize Trump supporters, Republicans, everything. It's completely fine. However, if a Republican group were to open up a booth or say something, they would get shut down because they're hate speech and they're triggering people. That, to me, is terrible. It's horrendous. It's hypocritical, okay? Because how can you support free speech, but only when you agree with it? That's one of the problems that kind of gets me with mainstream liberal society today. Well, I'm not going to say society. I'll say beliefs. Another thing is that I don't know. It's crazy. So that's what I'll say about the first point on whether I'm more of a Democrat or a Republican. I'm more of a Democrat in the sense that I am economically liberal and I'm maybe socially more conservative. That's what I'll say. I agree with things from both political parties. However, I do believe that I'm more of a classical liberal and more of a centrist. But nowadays, unfortunately, it's kind of like centrist equals Republican equals racist equals homophobic equals hate, blah, 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 blah. And like the whole concept of intersectionality and all that kind of stuff, it's something that bothers me. And I'll talk more about that in a later video. This was just my first introductory video on whether I'm more of a Democrat or Republican. More of a Democrat, but have Republican ideals. I'll say I'm 70 Democrat, 30 Republican. And there are other parties like libertarians, green parties, blah, blah, blah. But I don't really align with those either. Although I am very liberal in terms of environmentalism. And I'll talk about that more later. So thanks for tuning into the first video. And, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the show, watch our show, follow me on Instagram at @soloju_. And yeah, I hope you guys have a good one. Stay safe out there. And yeah, keep up with your free speech. Keep it up. Thank you.